Hello and welcome to the Green Profit Academy Pros podcast. This show digs into the challenges in growing a lawn care and landscape business while maximizing your profit. I'm Christine Era.
And I'm Steve Bousquet. We are the green industry experts in profit, growth, and leadership. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's podcast. I have a special guest on today, and you all hear me talk about relationships, how important it is to be connected to our customers, and how long-term customer relationships is really the key to growing a company. We have to keep our customers for long-term growth. And so I had a special guest today, Chris Snyder, and he is an expert in developing long-term and strong relationships with customers. He had a marketing and customer relationship building business, and he's an expert in that field. Welcome to today's show, Chris.
Thank you for having me. Pleasure to be here.
Chris, tell us a little bit about yourself and your background.
Sure. It all kind of the genesis of all this, where everything really started, was I spent a long time with Walgreens. I was in there in a position where we were really digging into the communities around us. And that really kind of triggered the relational aspect in there, understanding our target audience and who's around. I've had a consulting and marketing and media company since about 2017, and I've pulled that relational focus over into that. What we really believe in is building a relational business versus a transactional business, focusing on long-term, sustained relationships that create an ecosystem for any small business and brand and really tie us back into our customer base and our community base.
And that's really important when, you say community-based, because most lawn care and landscape businesses, we're working in a community and, maybe it's 20 to 30 miles from where we're working. So we're not working in the World Wide Web. We're not working, some people might have a couple of branches, but usually it's even with those branches, you're working in a community. So,
yes.
I'm always telling people to join your local chamber of commerce, get out in the community, become part of that community, and start developing those relationships, especially with our long-term customers.
And that is great advice. You're right. Sponsoring the Little League teams, getting involved in a local Lions club. People forget that with lawn care especially, you see the people in the neighbor's front yard all the time. That's as much of a billboard as anything else. And they're going to go over and say, hey, who's your guy? And it's not about how green the grass is or how pretty the mow is or the job that was done, as much as what is that relationship and what is that experience like. It's a really good point. Getting involved in that community it is so important for any small business.
Yeah, it's funny that you brought the Lions. Me and my wife were just nominated. We were by the local Lions as a humanitarian of the year for our Norwich Lions. And
Congratulations.
Thank you. It was a big deal, and there was a lot of people at this event, and it was for the entire state, and the big local news people were there, and it was highly celebrated. And each town that had their humanitarians, they had the fans from that community there, and it was a really big deal. And so, when they were interviewing me and my wife for this humanitarian award, and it was based on the 30 years of us doing stuff. And it wasn't like one big thing. It was like, it started adding up, and it was like, wow, we had forgotten all the little things that you just do and you contribute. Mm-hmm. But when you're doing that stuff, you're not doing it for the award, and you're contributing because you're part of the community. But it was really appreciated by so many people, and they interviewed these people, and it was really appreciated. But then watching all these other towns and all these other people getting their awards for their community, and people talking about what it meant to their other communities, it was amazing how much impact when you volunteer and you contribute to your community all across your state. All of these people had so much impact, and what a positive effect it was all across the state.
It's great you mentioned that. I mean, people think that kind of thing isn't relational, and I dispute that all the time. We have to give someone a reason to choose Coke or Pepsi, right? And a lot of times it's not flavor or packaging, and hopefully not price, because that's a no-win game. So what it is, well, look at this person, the leader here, the founder here, the business owner who is a part of our community and does all these things in our community. Why would we not want to choose him? Why would we not want to go with that brand or that business instead of this one over here who shows up, takes our money, we never even say hello to?
Right.
And it doesn't take a lot of time, and it feels good, and it's sometimes just the right thing to do.
Yeah, it is. It's the right thing to do a lot of times. And even, you know, when we were giving, sometimes we didn't have that much to give 30 years ago. Mm-hmm. So we gave what we could, and even that was appreciated. So, yeah, just it's a really good thing to show up when you can in your community. And people, they really don't forget. It was amazing what people remembered. I was shocked. 30 people remembered from 30 years ago when you helped out, when we showed up to put a playground together.
And I think there's a shyness, right? I mean, you don't necessarily want to put that on your website and necessarily put that on your marketing. But there is a sense of like your LinkedIn page, your Facebook page, having just that single post announcement that's out there and letting the world know that, hey, I am involved in the community. Yeah. We do believe that we should be involved in our community and building relationships with our neighbors. It's an important thing. And I think over time, we'll get over that shyness and timidity about it.
Yeah. Yes. And we were doing it way before Facebook was even a thing. And that's why I was surprised how many people remembered that way before even social media. So it had a lot of legs for a lot of years without any kind of like publicity at all. It meant a lot to a lot of people. So doing any kind of volunteerism, really, it's good for the soul. It's good for the community, and it's good long term for the relationships. So one of the things I always talk about business, spending, making sure that we have a spend for our existing and current clients for marketing, because most companies spend about 99% of their marketing budget trying to attract new customers, and they don't spend almost any money to like love on or really connect their existing customers. And, I'm always encouraging people to spend about 20 to 30% of their budget on their existing customers or past customers, and also spend time with their existing customers. What are your thoughts on that?
It is much, much cheaper statistically to keep existing customers than to go get new ones. What happens is, as we look at the funnel, right, top of funnel, we go down towards that very bottom where people have converted already and now they are customers. It's nurturing that loyalty, and things like newsletters. It's a great thing for social media to keep in touch with people and retain them. But there has to be an intention, and there has to be a personal connection to it, right? This is where the relational aspect happens. They may have chosen you for whatever reason to get in the door and to use your service, but now you have them, and now it's time to really nurture the relationship. Where the phone calls, if you're in the neighborhood, why wouldn't you stop by and say hello or check on it or leave a little note on the door? Things like that. They don't cost a lot necessarily, but it takes time and strategy and intention. I agree. I think 20, 30% is a right amount depending on the size of the business and things like that. We also tend to forget that sometimes 80% of our revenue comes from 20% of our customers, right? So you have the VIP customers that you've already serviced them, you've already taken care of them, and these are maybe sizable accounts. It absolutely behooves you as an owner or as a manager to personally stop by, personally send them a note, Christmas card, the holiday cards, hey, it's summer's coming up, we'd love to come by and be your people this year as well. We appreciate the business. Anything you can do to keep it top of mind and keep the relationship alive is absolutely vital. It's absolutely critical. It's a shame that it's overlooked, but unfortunately, it's not just this industry. It's really kind of endemic across business. We get focused on the money coming in, and we forget about the money we already have in hand. One of the things I do in an onboarding is I'll ask, tell me about your new customer growth. And almost invariably, they can tell me a pretty close number as to what they're bringing in, what their pipeline looks like, how they're generating leads, and all that stuff. Okay, tell me about your retention rate. And the face goes blank, the hair falls out the head, the face goes white, and it's, we do pretty good. What does pretty good mean? 2%, 10%, 42%, right? I mean, why wouldn't you be retaining 60, 70, 80%? Is that a realistic number? I don't know. Well, let's start there first. Let's talk about your existing relationships. Let's talk about the work you've done and what you have in place to keep them. Because, in my perspective at least, if I'm going to bring you a new customer, you better have a plan to keep that customer. Otherwise, it's just a transaction. So, what do you have in place to keep the customers? I equate it to, and here we have Thanksgiving, right? So, you're inviting people over for Thanksgiving dinner. Family's coming, friends are coming, everyone's coming. I'm going to mow the yard. I'm going to do dishes. I'm going to do laundry, make the beds, clean up the house. I want to make a great first impression because I want to retain that relationship. If we don't do that, if we don't set that stage and we don't prepare for it, you might get the transaction. You're probably going to convert a lot less, right? A lot more people will choose to go somewhere else or shop around. But even the ones that do, it's going to be a one-time thing. Whereas, and maybe they get the EBGB vibes. Maybe it was a great experience for them. But why kind of roll the dice on it? Set your stage to have a great experience for them and then follow up, 3 days later. How was everything? We'd love to talk about, hey, we noticed that mulch can use some updating over there, right? We noticed a couple other things. Hey, we have a partner we work with who does window cleaning. If you ever need that service, let me know. It's a great opportunity to introduce other facets of a business for an owner, a personal or manager to personally build a relationship. And all it does is ensure that you're making the most of your ad dollars spent.
Core Growth Strategies provides business growth management solutions through cloud accounting, bookkeeping, and strategic business consulting programs. Our team works with small businesses in lawn care and landscape and trade industries throughout the U.S. We increase our clients' business acumen by creating business performance transparency through financials and strategic advisement based on industry best practices and benchmarks. Our experienced team provides support, guidance, and coaching, thereby allowing our clients to connect with viable data and discover their own solutions. Core Growth Strategies programs and services are designed to get your business from where it is now to where you have always dreamed it to be. Visit us today at coregrowthstrategies.com and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, or LinkedIn. Don't miss our exclusive limited time podcast special. Just mention promo code GPA Pro to any member of our team during your complimentary consultation, or enter the promo code on our site when you sign up for one of our online programs. That's promo code GPA Pro.
Yes. So that just even a simple phone call. So a few years ago, we found out that someone signs up for the first year. So our main business is lawn applications. So you sign up for year one. We tell them that year one's going to be a rough year. We got to kill the weeds. And so you're going to have bare spots, and it's going to take a couple of years before the lawn looks great. So they quit after the first year because it didn't look great, even though we told them it was not going to look great. So we started calling them in the middle of year one. And how's the lawn look? Just letting you know. So we just started doing these summer check-ins. And then, so the cancel rate went to, instead of being 50%, it improved. So about 75% stayed. So our overall retention rate improved from 80% to 90% just by saving that 25% of the first year people. So it was just for making that phone call to those people. And all it was just paying a little more attention to them and letting them reaffirming their expectations. So that dollar-wise for us ends up being a couple $100,000 a year.
Wow.
So, I mean, over, 5 years, it's $1 million swing.
Right.
For making some phone calls.
And not to mention there's a word of mouth aspect. There's an exponential aspect to that, right? Where, yeah, that's the top line revenue. But what about 6 months down the road, 2 years down the road, when the neighbors are sharing it with their other neighbors? And just like the story you shared about Lions Club, right? The community starts to recognize all this word of mouth thing. That investment, that $1 million, $2 million becomes $5 million or $6 million over time. And you couldn't effectively buy that through paid ads, not through Google, not through Meta. There's no way to really grow that in that way that's as cost effective. And statistically, these customers are going to spend more be customers, purchase more frequently, use your service more frequently, and be better, long-term, more loyal clients over time. So
Oh,
it's a
absolutely.
win all around.
Yeah, it was crazy just by a simple phone call. If I had known that, I would have done it years ago. But I didn't connect the dots early enough. But it's made a huge difference in the company growth, right? Because so our goal is the more people you have on a street, the tighter your density, the more people you end up getting, because the more signs they see on a street, the more people you end up getting, right? It's that social.
But there's a downside to that,
social
of course.
proof. There is.
If it's some bad service, if you do a bad one, if the person, your customer, comes out and tries to say hello to you and they kind of get shrugged off, or it's somehow a rude, combative experience, that community is going to know.
Yes.
Right. Quickly. So, there is that kind of pressure to perform. You're on the stage, and I think, anyone who's working in public or working, especially like we talked about before, it's an intimate setting, right? You're in my home, you're in my yard, you're responsible for the way my house is presented to the world. If that goes south, it's going to be a pretty significant consequence. So you're on the stage, and being able to perform consistently there is really something that as owners we strive for.
Yeah, and that's a good point. Communicating with our crew and our teams, like, hey, everyone's watching you. Especially with these Ring cameras, right? You're on camera. Even, I mean, people are watching you. You're on camera. They could be 800 miles away, and they're watching you.
That's right.
So everything.
And so did they throw their soda can over the fence? Did they? We know.
Yeah.
And the last thing you want to say is the neighbor said, "Hey, I saw the guy in your yard. Can I get the number?" He's all right. I mean, they do an okay job. But last week, I said hi to him. They kind of ignored me. And I saw him throw his trash over the fence in the back. You're creating landmines that you're just waiting for someone to step on over time.
Yeah.
And it gives people enough pause to not go forward. And you break that great word of mouth chain that you've worked so hard to build. All those relationships just erode and deteriorate instantly.
Yeah. So I'm always encouraging people to develop the relationships or do the spend. And what do you think stops people from doing that? Because I get pushback on it, like, oh, I don't know if I want to talk to my customers. What if they're not happy? What if they say this? What constricts people or constrains people from doing that?
Number one is fear. I mean, there is that, people go into business, and a lot of times they're not just people, and that's okay. That's fine. It's, I was never a lover of public speaking. It's a learned skill, right? The idea of picking up a phone, calling someone I've never talked to and saying, tell me about the service we provided, knowing that at some point you're going to run into that, that one that's not so happy, not so thrilled, and potentially that's a very tough conversation to have. It's fearful, and I understand that. The second reason I think that blocks people is simply a lack of understanding or knowledge. They don't quite understand. They're focused on the service provided, the work we're doing. They're working in the business, not on the business. They understand they need more clients coming in to drive more revenue. There's a lack of understanding about the value of customer retention and customer loyalty in there. We don't track it through ROI the same way. It's, the metrics are a little bit different on the back end. So without that acumen in place, it makes it a little more challenging for them to have that conversation or even to carve out time to have those conversations. And what happens is if they do it at all, they wind up automating it. It gets delegated down. It gets sent out through an anonymous email or a company form letter email. It's not a personal thing. It could be, and yeah, there's still some value, but it loses the real power behind it. So I think it's those two things. It's fear, first of all, and secondly, it's just a lack of understanding of the true power of relationships and retention.
So what are some things that people could do to get around that? Like, how could they connect to the client, develop that relationship, but, or maybe they're working in the field, right? So I get it. You're tired. You got other things to do. You're dealing with, equipment, estimating your employees. What are some tools, or how could they develop those connections or pay attention to clients?
Yeah. I like a 1-2 punch. So for me, I think, one, have a business card and write a handwritten note on there. Hey, what's here today? Would love to chat about how things are going. Tuck it in the mailbox, tuck it in the front door, sign it, your name, so it's personal. Really simple, right? A small percentage of people will call, and that's okay. but the hand was out, the gesture was made, right? Secondly, if you're not comfortable making the follow-up phone call, send a text, send an email, but make it personal. Hey, this is Chris from, Chris's Lawn Care. Would love to see how things are going. Would love to grab, 10 minutes of your time and chat a bit, maybe get to know you and see how else we could improve our service. Here's my number or my Calendly link. Book an appointment. Give me a call. Very simple. You don't have to put yourself out there into, I got to make 100 calls today. I know I'm going to get some people. I know there's going to be some rejections. There's going to be some angry people because prices went up last year, whatever it is, right? I found one leaf in the pool and now I'm upset, whatever it is. So if you can avoid those, that will build some comfort and confidence, because you will get a few people that'll call you and book some time with you. I love the booking segment. So it takes that, you're not in the field, the phone rings and you're ignoring the call, right? You can block off an hour in the morning, an hour at the end of the day, and be there for calls. And then SMS or text, it's a great way to kind of break the ice with that initial back and forth. And then it's say, hey, you know what? I'd love to get on a call with you and find out more about this thing. If there's something there, if it's just, hey, everything's great, then cool. Cut and paste, testimonial time, right? That goes on the website or whatever, great. But if it's someone who has a legitimate issue, you've kind of filtered through that and you know the call you're getting into and you can prepare for it beforehand.
Yeah, I like the idea of texting, because emailing is just, people they get so many emails, they're not reading or responding emails barely yet. So phone and text.
Unless you're going to give value in the email, and then that gets into the whole subject line and the various kind of browsers and platforms and all that kind of thing for deliverability. It's a whole different game. And frankly, let's be honest, most folks who are starting a small business didn't become email marketing experts before they started that business. So There's a learning curve that's in there, and if you're not there, don't bet the farm on it. Let's do things that we can handle.
Right. Yeah. I like just sending personal notes and mailing them too. I mean, I like doing that. People like opening up mail. I don't write anything too complicated. I'll just basically have 8 or 10 things that I write, and I have them in my Google Docs, and I just copy them. And I handwrite it, and I'll customize it a little bit to thank him for something, or point something out that I know that's effective. One of the things for our very top clients, we'll send them a happy spring on the first day, or right around the first day of spring. That has been a huge hit over the years. Or some flower arrangement around Thanksgiving or something like that. That has been a huge hit.
I would always for mail, the thing I would encourage is put some trackability into that.
Mm-hmm.
So a QR code that has a tracking link built into it that takes them back to a website to find out, seasonal specials or our newest blog post about seasonal flowers or whatever it is. But that way you get a sense of how many people are looking at it, how many people are engaging with it, how many people found value in it. And then you're building out this funnel, right? So you know how many emailed, how many people clicked on the QR code, how many people went to the blog, how long they spent on the blog through your website analytics or Google Analytics. And you can start to really measure, because mail gets expensive at scale.
Yes.
Sending 5 or 10 is not a big deal.
Yeah,
Sending
that's what I'm talking about. Yeah,
5,000 is a different game.
Yeah. I'm talking like, so we follow like Mike McCallowitz wrote a book called The Pumpkin Plan, and it's like identifying your giant pumpkins. So the people who are like really the top, they buy everything possibly at the highest level. So that's
and if you think about those people, right? Like once a quarter, how long would it take you to visit those people? If you just were going to hit all of them once every, 3 or 4 months.
Right.
I mean, it's a day out of your, it's a day out of the 90 days.
Yes.
Right. Or whatever. And out of those, half of them won't be home. The ones that are, it's a handshake and a 10-minute interaction. Everyone leaves happy. It's a great thing.
Yeah. And it's totally worth the dollars. Yeah. So fear. Yeah. And lack of time is just an excuse, really. Yeah.
It is. If you understand the value of it, you make the time for it. If I was to ask you, how much time do you spend on lead gen? You're going to say as much time as I possibly can, right? How much time do you spend on retention? It's not really a high priority. It's a back burner thing. Well, it's because you don't understand the value, right? You're willing to spend $1, $3, $10, $100 to get a new client, but you're not willing to spend 10 minutes of your time to write out a letter and drop it in the mail with a 49-cent stamp. Like, what are we doing? It just doesn't. You say it out loud. We all laugh, but it happens everywhere, and it's just simply either the fear drives it, or I just didn't quite realize the importance of it.
It's backwards almost, really. It sounds backwards when you say it out loud. Yeah.
I would be more than happy to, like with my business, I'd be more than happy to keep 100% of my clients and never have to worry about getting any more than I would to be out constantly having to figure out the marketing channels. I got to play the Facebook game and posts and media and marketing and pay people and Google and all the algorithms and changes and websites. And I'll just keep the ones I have. That's good. I'm thrilled. That's fine. If I lose one, maybe I can find one more. But trying to build this pipeline machine, this constant generation growth machine, only to fill, it's like filling a sieve.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, they're bleeding out the backside. You're trying to fill it faster than you're leaving. That's not a game we're going to win unless you're really, really wealthy.
Yeah.
And you don't mind losing that wealth.
It's exhausting too.
It is.
Emotionally. 100%. Yeah. Yeah. And I think, if the longer we keep customers, you develop these relationships. It's more fulfilling to have these relationships. Yeah. And, if something does go wrong and you have strong relationships with your clients, it's easier to work through those challenges, than if you have
a growth aspect too, right? The person that you're doing the seasonal trim or the seasonal seeding. Well, next year maybe they want their lawn rolled and they want, a little bit extra stuff. And hey, do you guys do landscaping? I got some mulch beds I need done. Hey, and it becomes this one little thing now has become an ecosystem where you're really taking care of all of their needs. But it started off with that one little thing, but you've built and nurtured that relationship. And they've had a tremendous experience across everything they've done. So why would they be the person you ask?
And as far as like getting referrals, like how much more referrals do you think you get if you have a strong relationship with your customer base?
And, then we go into algorithmic things, right? So Google reviews, people, how much more likely are they to leave Google reviews when they really like you and really want you to succeed and you're their guy, right? They're going to shout you from the rooftops. They're going to leave all the reviews. They're going to send in testimonials. When you do an event, you do a poll online, they're going to engage with it. When it's share, like, subscribe, they're going to do these things. Right? They're going to be the ones who are going to take advantage of your sales and tell the new neighbor who just moved in, hey, I got a guy. Don't worry about it. Here's the card. But we have to build all that. And if we think that's going to happen after, the first time we go and mow a yard and kind of wave through a window at somebody, that's just not going to do it. But after you've left with that handshake and say, if you ever need anything, give me a call. I want to make it right. And, if I don't have the resources to do it, I want to hook you up with a partner who can. They're going to tell everybody they can about it. And those Google reviews play a big part of this whole thing, right? Now you're being SEO friendly. You're being discovered by people who are trying to find somebody online. That word of mouth referral, both digital and in person, really drives the ship. And hopefully you get to a point where 50, 60% of your incoming leads are coming through referrals, which are going to be easier to convert, longer lasting customers, not going to haggle you on price. It's a much better fit all around because they've already been vetted. They already know the deal.
Yeah. So in our landscape, we also do landscape construction. That's it's about 20% of our business, and about on the referrals, the closing ratio is about 75%.
It's awesome.
So I mean it's almost a slam dunk. And usually if it's not a close, that 25%, it's really because it's like, it's not a job that it doesn't line up. It just doesn't align either with what we do or what they really needed, or, it's not compatible. So,
when you put that in context, e-commerce converts at 2 to 3% in the best case scenarios. Facebook ads convert at 2% ish. Email marketing converts at 4.5%, maybe in the best case scenario. There's nothing that's better than referrals.
Right. Nothing.
There's nothing even in the scope that's even close. But it takes work to build up to get those referrals. It takes a lot of time, and it's like making a diamond, right? It's a lot of time and heat and pressure, repeatedly sustained over a length of time, and then you get them. And it's like a money tree, but you got to grow the tree first.
Yes, you got to put the time in to develop those relationships. Yeah. So how would someone go about like letting their customers know that these relationships are important, like right up front? Like, so if, let's say people are not used to their landscapers or their like service providers making that relationship connection important. Like they're just used to like whoever's cheapest or whoever's whatever
Right.
that. And all of a sudden we show up and like, hey, it's really important that we connect and I listen to what you need and I want to make sure that we're providing and meeting your expectations. How does that connect?
Setting expectations early and often is key. So you can put out in your marketing and on your website and everything that we will come mow your grass. You'll be my client. It's a transactional exchange. Awesome. But if you put out that we want to be your home care partner, we want to take care of the presentation of your home and be a partner for your home and the way it looks and the way it's presented and the health of your lawn and landscaping, it's a different kind of a thing. If we tell them in the beginning that we are here for the duration, we're not here for a one-time thing. We're here to build something and sustain something and grow with you over the span of your journey in this home. It's a different expectation. And we start with the marketing, we start with the messaging, we start really, really early with it. That's reinforced then throughout the visits to the home, like we talked about earlier, right? Leaving notes on the door, thank you, a pen in the mailbox, say, whatever little tidbits along the way, the fruit baskets and flowers and plants and happy birthday cards, whatever it is, those kind of things over time reinforce it. But it starts with that expectation of who we are as a company. We're going to be your partner. You're not going to be my client. We're going to be your partner in this. And we're going to do this together. I'm going to do the lifting and you're going to communicate kind of what your challenges and goals and dreams and hopes are. And I'm going to help turn those into reality. That's my role in this relationship.
So you were doing it together.
That's right.
Yeah. Instead of me and you, it's a we.
That's right.
Okay.
When you go to McDonald's, you give the guy $10 now, and you get a cheeseburger back. It's transactional. There's no, hey, we'll make this together. We're going to feed and nurture you together. That's not what's happening. You give them the money, you go out your door. If you're lucky, they say thank you. But it'd be a different experience if you walked in and said, how are you feeling today? Oh, I'm a little tired. You know what? Let us get you something that's going to help energize you, get you kind of up on your feet again. Let us help you get something that's going to nourish your body and make you feel like, it's a brand new day for you. Let's get that for you. And then we'll figure out the money after. And then I'm going to follow up with you and say, how do you feel, the next day? Are you feeling a bit better? Maybe next time we'll try something a bit different if that didn't work. And it's an ongoing relationship. That doesn't happen. You gave me the money. We gave you the burger. Now, go on your way. If we think about things in relational terms, it changes the way we do business. If we think about, I did the work, now I sent you the invoice, now give me the money, and we'll do that again next month, there's no relationship. It's transaction after transaction.
So, and you brought up kind of like pens and some gifts and stuff like that. So another way to do that would be kind of maybe some seasonal gifts, some leave behinds for certain people. Now there's like the love languages, right? Some people love gifts. Some people want attention. Some people like to have like acts of kindness. Like I know some people, my lawn techs, they'll bring their garbage cans up or their recycling, and they think that's they think that's the greatest thing in the world, right? The nicest thing, and other people don't even notice it. So it really, once you find out what the love language is of that client, you can really lean into that. So we have these little boxes of chocolate. If someone gives us 2 referrals, we give $100. This year we upped it to $100 referral. We cut them a check, but if they do it 2 times in a row, we send them this really high-end box of chocolate that's made right here in Connecticut by a local chocolatier. But the box of chocolate is we get these beautiful handwritten thank you letters from the customers and cards, and they talk about it and everything. So for some people, the gift is such a huge thing, and others like stopping by means more. So once you can identify what it means to the customer, and that takes time, but it really seems to be worth it. Now, you have to, depending on the size of your company, it helps to have a little bit of a team to help support this, and the phone calls and the text and the gifts. And I've been working on this really for the past like probably 10 to 15 years, but really intentionally for 10 years. And it does take time and effort. But like, what are some small gifts that people that could easily afford?
I don't love tchotchkes. I don't love branded pens. I don't like branded notepads. What do you do with those, right? They get shoved in a drawer somewhere and
Mhm.
forgotten about. Gifts that people find meaningful are things they're going to use every day. Whether it's a little cell phone charger, you
Mhm.
get those quite affordably. A little cell phone charger that people use. Whether if it's a coffee cup, make it something unique and a little bit special, right?
Mhm.
Don't do just a white ceramic cup with a logo on it. Nobody wants to have your logo sitting around the house, right?
Right.
So you do things and you think about how people live, how your clients live. What is this neighborhood like? Is this a high-end neighborhood? Are they family neighborhood? Do they have kids? Do they have pools? Maybe it's pool floats. Maybe it's a drinky cup. But I think it should be tailored. I like to use the term feature fit. It should be tailored and fit the lifestyle of the folks that you're servicing, and that may look different in different segments and different audiences. Seniors are going to much more appreciate you coming to the door and having a conversation with them
Yes.
versus a young family, very busy. Both parents are working, kids are going crazy running around. They're going something left at the door. The gifts I've done recently, I've done the cell phone chargers recently. We've done, we do T-shirts and things like that on occasion, pool noodles and that kind of
Mhm.
oddball thing from time to time. Squeeze balls and things like that I tend to stay away from because, really, who really uses a squeeze ball regularly? Right? It's not a thing. But also, I think books and this is where partnerships come in place. So leaving someone going over and reaching out to the plumber near you and saying, like, let's make a deal. I want to give a 25% coupon for your plumbing services to my VIPs. And you do that a couple of times. You create this little kind of bouquet of coupons you can give them, meaningful, useful, and now you're building reciprocal relationships because they're going to do the same for you with clients out there. I think that's a great way to do things and build relationships within the community. And I also think little like desktop clocks. I got this one. I'll show you this one. I got this from a little gift from someone.
Oh yeah.
Right. Just a nice gesture of a thing. And if it was something that is useful, everybody can use a little desktop clock. They knew that people working at home often are sitting at desks, and so it made sense. I think this really boils down to an understanding of who your audience is or who your customers are, what their lifestyle is like, and figuring out that what is something they're going to use every day. They're not going to use a pen every day, a magnet every day, a pad every day. Not going to happen.
Right.
And you don't want to be giving them $500 espresso machines.
No.
Right. I mean, that's not going to be sustainable for the business. So what's in between there, right? I mean, someone just gave me coffee beans not that long ago from a local brand. They had gotten, and as the driver, it was actually a plumber company, had just dropped off a bag of, had a little bow on it, a bag of coffee roasted beans from the place kind of up the block that's local. And I said, hey, just let us know if you need anything. We're here.
Yeah.
And this left it at the door. It was awesome.
Yeah. Nice. So pay attention to maybe local vendors, local stuff.
Yes,
pay attention to what the client likes. I mean, I've given wine, local gins and local bourbons and local maple syrup in New England. That seems to be a huge gift that people like, little bottle of maple syrup. So try to make the gifts maybe local, make it personal, and make it, choose.
There's another aspect to relational. There's business to customer relations, and then there's the business to business relations in a community. I think how this all work now. So I recently moved from Los Angeles to Knoxville, Tennessee. Didn't know anyone here, didn't have anything here. I was referred to a tire place by a mechanic. So it was business referring to business. Now I have a relationship with both, and I'm customers at both. And I think that's very, very, a great way to do business is ideally you're referring plumbers and plumbers are referring you, and the window company is referring you as, lawn care provider. The HOA is working with you. Like all these things work together to create this ecosystem where everyone's really working together to find the right person for the right people. And getting coupons, getting gifts from local vendors is a great way to introduce someone to a company that you really want to help. And let's be honest, rising tides raises all ships. It's not really competition, right? It's collaboration. You're not competing against the plumber or the local coffee shop, so why not support them? They're small businesses too. Let's help everybody out if we can.
Yeah, you always want a kind of a vendor pool that we can rely on to refer people that we can trust. They can trust us, and it just helps everybody. Especially if in New England, where most of these people have been in business for 30 years plus, you always want to give out somebody that you can trust. And then when there's new people that are starting their businesses, you want to help them also, because everybody else is already so booked up with business. You want to just make sure that you can give out a new name that you can trust, that they're going to show up.
Why give out a Starbucks gift card if you can support a local coffee shop that can really use the traffic, does a great product, and they want to build relationships as well? Why not just continue that exponentially?
No, absolutely. That's why the chambers I'm a big fan of, because it'll be the local coffee shop that's a member of the chamber, not the Starbucks, not the chains usually.
And you can look as you drive past that chain link fence at the school baseball diamond. You can see who's got the banners up, right? You can see which local community businesses are getting involved and participating and supporting, and it's a great place to start working with it.
Yeah. So if someone has questions, or if they want to get in contact with you, Chris, we'll have your information in the show notes. But if you want to have kind of like a summary for the show, what would you say? What advice would you give?
My advice is to focus on the relationship, not the dollar, not the transaction. Grow relationships like you grow your business. Build relationships, get them in the door, right? They're invariably, we got to bring people into the business funnel somehow. But spend the time and effort and energy and resources to develop those relationships, retain those customers, and grow those customers, rather than, every time you pick a tomato, you don't throw away the plant, put a new tomato plant in, right? It's the same thing. You nurture it, you grow it, and it's going to keep producing more and more and more over time. And really, as a business owner, this should be a focus. Your sales team brings in the customers, your marketing brings in the customers. As a business owner, it's really up to us to focus on, how do we retain these customers? How do we grow these customers? How do we build these relationships? And how do I get involved in the community in a way that I'm creating an ecosystem of relational kind of love and goodwill around our company?
Yeah, great advice. Yes. And I love that, because that's where I am at this stage of my business. That's my role in my company, really. I'm out of that new customer. I'm in that community relations kind of part of
You're working on the business, not in the business.
Yeah.
And that is, once you can transition out of that, the world opens up, growth opens up. A lot of things start opening up for you.
Yeah, and being part of the community has really enhanced my life. And
you can't pay it. You can't buy that kind of goodwill in your community. You just, no matter what you do, how much you throw at it, you can't buy it.
You cannot. And to see what it does for the community. And I didn't realize how much, when I was younger, I did not realize how much other people were doing for the community, and how important it is for businesses to be successful in a community, to help support the nonprofits and the music, the public music that happens in other nonprofits in a community, that they need these small businesses to be successful, to help support the community. I did not realize when I was younger.
Driving down the street, my wife loves to point out, whenever she sees Brandon, it's a plumbing company, and they have, it's 20, 30 employees over the size of the company, but she'll say, hey, that's Brandon, and the plumber, right? That is what you want to get. You want to bump into the guy at the grocery store and like, this is my mulcher. This is my, the guy who does my yard every week. This is the owner of this company. You want to be known. You want to be part of the community, and where people can recognize you out in public and kind of take you as their own. And that's the relationship.
The Little League doesn't happen if it's not for these small businesses. That the music on the green doesn't happen if it's not for the small businesses. The parades don't happen if it's not for these small businesses. There's so much that happens in our community, and it's because of the small businesses. So it's important to be part of that. Well, thank you so much, Chris. It was really a great conversation. I appreciate it. Stay on. We're going to end, but stay on the call. And I want to thank everybody for joining us today. It was a great conversation, and I look forward to you joining us on the next podcast. Thanks for listening to the Green Profit Academy Pros Podcast,
the show that digs into the challenges of growing a lawn care and landscape business while maximizing your profit.